Hey everyone, my name's Brittany Horseman, and for this week's presentation, I decided to use Japan as my area of study. The reason I chose Japan is because it's been long a country of mine that I've had a lot of deep respect and affiliation with. I was actually born in Japan. I was born in Okinawa on the military base when my dad was still in active service in the Marine Corps. I do have intentions of moving back there for a couple of months for study or even for studying abroad, so I figured this would be a really great topic to discuss and explain to you guys some of the reasons why I have a lot of love for this country and a lot of respect also. I think by the end of this presentation, you guys will learn some interesting facts about the country and get to know it in a better way than you thought you did before. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you guys enjoy my presentation. So, one thing I've always liked about Japan is the fact that students are taught from a very young age to be respectful of their teachers and the students around them. Japanese students are taught from a very early age also that education is one of the most important things they can have in their life. Regardless of wealth or status in the world, you may rise and you may fall down the social ladder, but your education remains the same. You get what you put in, and the Japanese people really respect the fact that other countries have their own way of doing education and teaching their students. However, Japanese people do believe that their way of educational teaching is the proper way. They are very prideful people and believe that without education, you have nothing else of the same amount of greatness. Japanese students are expected to know both Japanese in writing and in speaking, and they are also expected to be very fluent in English as well. The Japanese prize English speaking citizens as much as they do foreigners coming into the country to transition into moving there. Um, because of this because of this desire to have such a strong English language connection, the schools make all students take English as a second language from the time they are in preschool to the time they are in 12th grade, or for them, that is their senior year equivalent to here. Oftentimes, students will have their parents hire private tutors. This is done because teachers, students, and parents alike all want the classmates to have passing grades and high expectations met from their parents and teachers. Teachers who have students who make all high and exceptional grades also get rewarded a bonus salary check at the end of each year. This is a huge competitive part of the education in Japan, and if it's not necessarily as an added paycheck, oftentimes teachers will get extra paid off vacations. That is definitely one thing about the Japanese education system that I really like. I feel like the system itself um, is very in depth, and I feel like students are expected to achieve more, which in turn makes the students kind of mature more so than in America. I think this is something that our country and Japan definitely something that um, is different. The education system is completely different. In Japan, students are given a break twice a year rather than going through school the entire time and getting one long break. In Japan, students will work for 4 semesters, or I'm sorry, they'll work for 4 weeks and then have a month break, and then work another 4 weeks, 4 months, and then have another month break. So it's more broken up over there in the sense that they get the same amount of time, but it's broken up more so that students have more time to take a break and relax. And the reason this was done, the Japanese government is highly put in, like, they're really inserted into the world of education in Japan, and they require that all students So, as I stated earlier, the government in Japan is very involved in the Japanese education. The government goes over the curriculum that the students are teaching, or that the teachers are teaching the students for the year, to make sure it's appropriate and all up to date and matches what the government expects of its Japanese citizens to know by the time they graduate. Any countries in the world that have governments involved in the educational system to the extent of picking the curriculum to what teachers are hired. Any schools that have programs like this and teachers like this and an education system like this, you know that the country's most important thing for its citizens is its education. The government that gets involved per country with the education systems itself raise the standards and values expected of the students and teachers by the end of the year, end of the semester each year. As you can tell by some of these facts, it's definitely clear to see that Japan highly prizes its education, especially for its citizens. The Japanese education system is highly reliant on every single person in Japan to continue to want to do their part. As long as the educational board keeps its standards at a higher rate than other countries, the education system will stay consistent and remain the same. Japan strives to have one of the strongest countries in education and in the sciences. These are the two most important things about the Japanese education world. Having not only the highest education in the world or even just in the country per school, having the highest education all around per subject, but also having a very strong
I think
focus and
Japan's a great
high
place to study just
scores
because it's
in
so
the
different
science
from us,
section as
and I
well.
really enjoyed doing this
Because
project.
this subject is so coveted and expected to be the hardest for most students, that's like an extra bonus if they can have better science grades in the country per school, and they will also like compete against doing that and whatnot. The Japanese education system is broken up into different years than it is over here in America, so that's there are 6 years of elementary school, and then there are 3 years of junior high school, 3 years of high school, and 4 years of university. So it's the same amount of years, it's just done in a different order.